Hello YouTube, MrJAKEAWESOME here back again or whatever for my Halo Reach review slash preview part 2. Today's episode thingamajuggernt, we're gonna actually be talking about Halo Reach instead of the history leading up towards it. One more thing, the reason I did this episode today is because today, September 7th, was the day Halo Reach was initially supposed to launch, but unfortunately it was pushed back 1 week to the 14th. So let's all have a fun 7 days before we spend the rest of, I don't know, probably our lives killing each other on Xbox Live. So yeah, I'm gonna get started now. Now, one more thing before I begin, a lot of the things said in this episode will be repeated in the review because some things won't change from here to next week. So if I mention something right now that, still applies next week, I don't want a million comments telling me that I'm such a noob because I forgot that I already said it, even though I know I already said it, which is why I'm making this whole little part. So yeah, just gonna throw that out there so you may want to skip over some parts of the review, or skip over some parts of this. There will be no spoilers to the plot. I'm just saying things might get repeated. Deal with it. First, I'd like to cover Halo Reach's story. Halo Reach is the earliest game in the whole Halo saga, not including Halo Wars, which took place several years before Halo Reach and Halo 1. So if you only include the Bungie games, Halo Reach is the earliest in the series. It covers the story of a group of Spartan 3s on the planet Reach. Let me just cover a few things first. Now, in the beginning of Halo 1, Master Chief and everyone else on the ship, they talk about how they just barely escaped Reach before the Covenant could destroy it. This isn't really a spoiler because several times Bungie has announced, and in the book Fall of Reach, it's been said that Reach will inevitably fall. Therefore, the story is going to be more character-driven. We already know what's going to happen to the world, but what about the people in it? Now, as for the Spartan 3's part, we know Master Chief and one of the members of Noble Team, which you play in that team, you play as Noble 6, the guy who's a Spartan 2, his name is George. Him and Master Chief are Spartan 2s. They were the first group of the Spartan Project to work. I don't really know about the Spartan 1s. I think they were just a failed experiment, and the Spartan 2s, they worked. They were the first successful Spartans. The Spartan 3s were disposable Spartans, one might say. They could be much easier mass-produced, and you could make a lot more of them in a shorter amount of time. And as I said, they were disposable because you could easily make more. Their power isn't as good as the Spartan 2s because they have some sort of special genetic gene that makes them stronger than everyone else. But, don't mess with the Spartan 3. They're still pretty tough. So yeah, that basically covers the story and the characters. I guess I could go over each character. There's Noble 1. He's the leader, named Carter. It's said in the one of the Bungie V-Docs, a Spartan will rise, that he turned Noble Team into more than a group of soldiers, just a random group. They were before, then he showed up and made it awesome, which, implies what I just said. He is a natural leader, as they say, and is really fit to lead them. I think there's Noble 2, Kat, the only girl on the team. She's apparently really brilliant and good with technology and electronics and strategy and stuff. Not much more to say there, more information in the Halo Reach review, but not now. There's June, not Juan. I've heard Juan several times. It's pronounced June, who's the group's sniper. He's a sniper. People think he's really cool, and you know what? He is really cool. Then there's Noble 4, Emil. Yeah, Emil's Noble 4. Not much has been said about him besides the fact that he's really bold, and he's the group's shotgunner. Not much about his character has been revealed besides that. Nothing much more on that. Noble 5 is George, the only Spartan 2 of the group. He's the heavy weapons guy and the strength of the unit. He's the toughest one there. And last but not least is the guy you play as, Noble 6. A lot like the rookie from Halo 3, he doesn't have a name or a voice. Whether he's male or female, the character decides when they make their characters. So basically, Noble 6 could be anyone you want him to be, even yourself. Which is a really cool thing, because the rookie, who, I really liked his character despite the fact that he never had anything to say. I thought he just was a cool character because he's awesome. But, Noble 6 can be whatever you want him to be. But the rookie, on the other hand, was always the rookie, the male leading new guy on the team. Yeah. It's also implied that Noble 6 is the only... No, there's two Spartans with his rating hyper lethal. he's one of the two Spartans with that rating, and it's heavily implied that the main character from Halo 1, 2, and 3, Master Chief, is the other hyper-lethal Spartan. So basically, things haven't... You're still playing as the ultimate badass that you were in Halo Combat Evolved 2 and 3. Things haven't changed that much for you, which I think is a really good thing, because ODST was a good departure from the series, but, it wasn't the same in some respects. Sorry, the plot kind of dragged on there, but I just had a lot to say and only so much time to say it. Anyway, next I'm going to move on to the graphics and sound. I'm just going to clump them up in one department so things go faster after that really long story part. Anyway, looking at the graphics at Halo Reach from the beta and new trailers, especially in HD, I can tell that the game has, some people have said that the Xbox 360 is starting to show its age. I don't think so. This, just like Final Fantasy XIII before it, yeah, I still think it's awesome, really show off impressive graphics in the scenery and character models. I haven't seen any CGI scenes of the game yet. At least I didn't know if they were CGI. I think the cutscenes were just in-game only. But I gotta say that they were really cool looking. The weapons look nice, and the landscapes are beautiful, as always. Now, in the sound department, well, what do you expect? You can't go wrong with Marty O'Donnell's score every game. Things have changed, like the kind of monks, you know what I'm talking about, the monks in Halo 1, 2, and 3. Those are gone now for a new kind of epic kind of score. Like, not to say the first 3 games weren't epic, but it's like, it's epic around Master Chief in the first 3 games. Here, it's like epic with everything to represent the whole planet, not just one tiny part of it. So, oh, and the sound effects are cool too. Like, every weapon has their own distinct noise. It'll take you probably 30 seconds to distinct the sound of a DMR from a pistol, because, everything is just so unique in its own way. You really can't go wrong with the sounds I've heard, and the voice acting isn't really cheesy at all. Like, Halo 3 had the occasional cheesy line, all the Halo games did. But no, I really haven't seen any of that so far, and if there is, I promise to cover it in the actual review. Like I said, this is just a preview. Don't take everything I say to heart yet. Okay, last part of preview part 2, the gameplay. This is something that appeals to gamers about Halo more than anything else. The game, I'll get into the game modes in the review, but here, just the core gameplay. Now, the way it's going to work in Reach is in Halo 3, you usually started off with weapons that were the same every single time. In Reach, you have what are called loadouts. You select a loadout from a menu right before you spawn. Now, there's different kind of loadouts. Now, the loadouts have unique weapons and armor abilities. Now, if you don't know what armor abilities are, you've probably been living under, like, I don't know, a rock or something. I don't know who'd want to do it, but you'd have to not to know about them so far. But, for you rock dwellers or whatever, here's the scope. Armor abilities are special abilities that Spartans have in their armor, which allow them to use certain, abilities. There's Sprint, which obviously lets you run faster. Active Camo, which can turn you invisible, but unlike in the other games, it also doubles as a radar scrambler, but the faster you move, the less cloaked you are. So if you have it, you want to move slowly and go in for assassinations and stealth-based attacks. You can't just run in there blindly with camo and expect no one to see you. You're going to die. Well, or you'll live. I don't know. Depends on your skill. There's also Armor Lock, which makes the Spartan temporarily invincible for a few seconds. The cool thing about Armor Lock is once it's over, it releases an EMP that damages all the enemies around you. This isn't going to be like the TAC nuke from... it's not going to be like a tactical nuke or anything. It's just going to deal mostly just damage to the shields of your enemies, but it's really useful if you can time it right. That's all it really is, timing. Once you're in Armor Lock, you're invincible to everything. There's literally not a thing in the game that can kill you, save for falling into a pit or something that goes on forever. I don't know. Let's see. Those 3. There's also a new one called the Drop Shield, which was recently unveiled. It's sort of like the bubble shield from Halo 3. The difference here is that once you're inside it, if you spend enough time in there, your health will be regenerated, because it's like Halo 1 and ODST, where you have shields and health. You're not as invincible as you used to be, obviously. And finally, there's jetpacks. Now, I don't even want to explain it. Just look at a YouTube video. They're self-explanatory. Well, I'll explain it. They let you jump and fly around, and they're really cool, and you can shoot stuff while you're flying. It's all like pew 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 or something. I don't know. Let's see here. For the core basic gameplay, that about covers it, except for a few little things. Number one, assassinations. Now, remember the beatdowns in Halo 3? Those are called pummels. Now, when you just hit someone in the back, don't go into assassination, just hit them. That's the new beatdown. And if you go into the long animation where you hold down the B button and kill a guy, that's an assassination. They're really cool looking, and you can be saved if someone's doing it to you. So it doesn't mean you're necessarily screwed yet if some guy hops on your back and you have a buddy nearby. Another thing is when you die, you can respawn on one of your teammates in case you don't want to have to go all the way back to the beginning and start again. You can even spawn in vehicles when you have friends in there, so long as there's an empty seat for you. Last big thing about the gameplay, which I really like. Now, there are exceptions to this rule, okay? But first, I'm going to cover the rule. If you have shields left, and like some guy hits you, you won't automatically die in Halo 3. If you have just one little bit of shields left, you won't die immediately. There are exceptions like the laser, energy swords, sniper rifle, headshots. But for the most part, if a guy has just one little bit of shields left, the next time you hit him, it'll only relinquish his shields. His health will still be safe until you hit him again in the face or whatever. Anyway, that about covers it for gameplay. I just want to wrap this up by saying that the actual Halo Reach review probably won't be for at least a couple days after the actual game's launch. I'll give you some other reviews in the meantime, mainly Xbox Live Arcade titles, but the Halo Reach review is not going to come out in 7 days. I need time with the game to properly gauge it and state my opinion. With that said, please tune in to the final part of this 3-part series, and, I don't know, subscribe, friend request, rate it 5 stars or like it or whatever. See you later, I guess. Also, play Marathon. It's on the Xbox Live Arcade. Go, right now. I don't care if you have school, or if you're watching this at work, or if you're making lunch right now. It's not worth it. Go to your local GameStop and buy Marathon.